Day 35, freedom. From now on, I'll try to post the video every day at noon UK time, so 11 a.m. CET and 7 a.m. EST. Freedom. We all want freedom, right? Inherently, we want to not be restricted. However, what has happened in the Western world mostly is that we are free financially, or at least to an extent, and we have material freedom. We can buy things, we can own things, etc. But we have very constrained mental freedom, like the job world has taken over, social pressures, everything. So the way we can move around in the world is very limited, not geographically, not financially, but mentally. You can't say certain things, you can't do certain things, you shouldn't do that or think that or say that, etc. And so we can't really express ourselves fully because we, as I talked in yesterday's video, vulnerability. We can't be vulnerable. We have to be strong, we have to keep up a facade, etc. And it's funny how we believe that, as we go ahead in life and increase our material wealth and our social status, and as a result, we get more freedom of a certain sense, of a more material and financial sense, but it becomes actually, not necessarily more restricted, but we don't gain more freedom as in how we live our lives, because there's constant judgment around us. We feel we need to constantly move up a certain ladder, and that's very restricting. One of the greatest benefits what I realized in changing my life from being an investment banker then to be an entrepreneur and now doing this is that I have complete control over my life. First of all, I'm doing what I love, what I'm passionate about it, and where I see I can have impact, and that's the most rewarding gift. If you can touch other people's lives in a dramatic way, and just seeing how that unfolds and how they start flourishing is just, it's the most incredible thing, and money could never make up for that. But also I have complete control, right? I choose who I work with. I choose when I work with whom and how I do it. No one gives me my agenda, and that is just an incredible gift. And I think most people, get there maybe eventually when they retire, but then, they're old and they're physically not as possible, and kind of also mentally you have evolved into kind of a more constricted world, and life happens now, not in 2 decades when you're financially stable or when you have the freedom to retire. Life happens now. So I encourage you to kind of think out of the box. We, as I also talked in another video, we become the people we surround ourselves with, and that is not just, it's not just our immediate friends and our colleagues and family, but also society at large. So depending where you live, the values, what is valued as important, what is valued as you should achieve, that kind of creates restrictions in your life. But the reality is, modern life is so structured and organized. But if you think back 50, 100, 200, 300 years, life was completely different. And I don't mean it was better, but we, I think, forgot how much flexibility we have in our lives. It's, you're given this gift. You're born, you come out of the womb of your mom, and then you're getting nurtured and supported for a while, and then at some point you're self-reliant, or you're supposed to have, and then you can really do whatever you want. I would even say whatever the fuck you want. It's so important, I think, that, and again, I talked in the video, why you shouldn't care about what other people think, that you, first of all, get total clarity on what you really want, what does matter to you, and not based on what other people tell you. Because as long as you depend on what other people think of you, you will not be able to live your life, because you will constantly be worried what other people think of you. And it's a very constricting concept. So once you so think about unconditionally, what, if you could do anything you wanted, what would it be? And then also kind of check, why do you want that? For example, you want financial freedom, or you want to be wealthy or seen as successful. You should challenge those beliefs. Why does it matter? Why does it matter for you what other people think? Anyway, once you get to that clarity, then you might have this crazy. The other day I watched this Netflix Amazon Prime documentary, which I recommend. It's really touching and inspirational. Doesn't mean you have to do that, but I think it just gives you an idea of what opportunities life offers. It's this brilliant mathematician from the US who kind of left his job after first 13 years in academia, and just went on an island in Hawaii and kind of, built his home there and started swimming with the dolphins every day. Now, some people would call that escapism, but if you ask him, I mean, he's a devout Buddhist, he's practicing, he's highly spiritual, highly intelligent, he has thought through life on all the levels, and he created this extremely fulfilling life. At some point, actually, he wanted to return to the US, but the only person that really appreciated how brilliant and like ahead of everyone, apparently, mathematician he was, died. And so kind of his return ticket, quote unquote, ceased. So he just stayed in Hawaii, and he has this incredible rich life. He's 70 something, he runs around, he swims with the dolphins, super healthy. And he said, like, why would you own a Van Gogh for 100 million if I can look at my garden, who's so beautiful every day? And I think that's what I meant by freedom. We forget what real freedom is. Now, does that mean you have to go to Hawaii to that extreme? No. I think it gives you a glimpse of the possibilities, of the continuum, of the spectrum that life offers. And we operate in this very narrow band because we look around and we look what everyone else is doing, and that's this very narrow band. But if you would go to a different place, let's say you live in Europe or in North America, if you would go to South America or to Africa or Asia, people live completely differently. Now, maybe it's strange to you because you're not used to it. You think our life is better, but it's not. I mean, it's not necessarily what I mean. It depends kind of what you want. That's why it's so important to gain clarity of what you want, independent of what others think, and then you create that environment that you want to live in. And that can be wherever you are right now, in a completely different place. Like, life is really what you make it. There is no restrictions these are just restrictions that are in your own mind, and they're kind of influenced by the people around you and by society around you. But you can break out of them or not. But I think what I'm trying to get to is it's a conscious decision what life you live. You shouldn't say, oh, when I hear people that say, oh, I'm so busy, I don't have time for anything. Well, it's a choice. You decide to be so busy. You decide to do that job. And then they say, okay, but I have to take care of my family. Yeah, but you decide to live in an extremely possibly expensive city. You decide to live that life. You have control. We have more control than ever. We can move, we can fly to a different place, start a new life. Is it easy? No, it's not easy, but that's why it's important. Once you found what really matters to you, then you will have the energy and the drive to make it happen, and then will actually become a joy and you rather than a chore. And that's what it's about. So it's understanding what you want, irrespective of what other people think, and then find the environment that is conducive to that allows you to, live that life. And maybe it just means that you have a lot of freedom. And freedom of time, and you might not make a lot of money, but you live in a place that has low costs, and so you have this perfect life with your family and the 4 children, and you can just thrive and enjoy it. And that is a possibility. We forget that you don't have to go to an office Monday to Friday for 14 hours and work like crazy. You can do that too. I'm not saying this is not an option, but it's just one option. It's just the band of options, how you can live life is much wider. And I believe that most people undervalue how much freedom actually meant, and the freedom to control your own life rather than it being dictated by others, whether that's your boss or your circumstances or society. And so I encourage you to explore that, and I will tell you the story about the investment banker and fisherman next time, because I'm running out of time. Instagram only gives me 10 minutes. I'll take a note, and because it's an incredible, powerful story, and that illustrates what I was just talking about. Anyway, think about those things, explore, and you don't have to make massive disruptive changes. You can start making small changes. You can start taking a different type of job, trying to build a separate activity out of the job, thinking of relocating, changing your circumstances. I mean, there's infinite possibilities, and I think you just need to start thinking outside the box, and then suddenly you will see this kind of universe unfolding outside of it and the possibilities, and life will never be the same again.